Yes, good morning to everyone. So I'm going to just discuss about what does that programming logic control means and how to do an programming for it and what are the different components involved into this. Before going to the programming logic control, I would like to give a brief idea about what does that mechatronics means and how that programming logic control fits into this mechatronics stuff. Okay, so basically it starts with a simple blocks. I can just show you few blocks of it. First is this, maybe I can say it is in a mechanical block. Okay, and mechanical block may be anything like I can say lathe machine or any kind of a machine which is having in a mechanical motions and maybe some kind of an operations you are going to do it, and then you are going to sense those operations using in a sensors. Okay, and this is nothing but another block which collects maybe in a kind of a device which we are representing as in a block, and that is what in a sensor. And this sensor, this mechanical, you want to measure in a motion of the maybe a lathe machine or maybe speed you want to measure it. So this is a mechanical signal. I can say it is a mechanical signal which is taken by sensor, and that equivalent electrical signal it will generate. Okay, and that electrical signal may be in a voltage, maybe in a current, maybe in a resistance, maybe in a capacitance, depends on what type of sensor you are using it. After once we got this, what is to be done? Most of the time what it happens, these sensor, what are the voltages they generated based on some basic principles of maybe I can say it in sensing or basic phenomena it follows. And what are your microcontroller, you want to control everything under the microcontroller, and that's what this voltage levels will be in a very small, maybe in a sometimes 0 to 50 millivolt or something. So which is not sufficient enough, or which is very, it becomes quite difficult to measure by any kind of a microcontroller. So in that case I need to amplify the signal, and this is nothing but an amplifier. Okay, this amplifier, what it happens, it will take in a voltage between 0 to 50 millivolt, may not be an all the time this is the range, maybe any different range it will take. And this amplifier will now convert that signal into 0 to 5 volt or 0 to 10 volt, depends on what is your microcontroller looking for it, means what the microcontroller needs for it. That is what it will amplify. To amplify this signal you may need in a power supply, and that is what you can connect this power supply, which will take 1 2 wire from this end, 2 wire output from this end, and power supply may need in a 2 3 wire, depends on type of power supply, maybe a DC volt or DC power supply or AC power supply. Okay, once you amplify, what are this signal is in a mostly it is an analog type signal, means like this analog signal. Okay, and this analog signal, and but your microcontroller here microcontroller understands digital
Sir,
language.
sir,
Yeah,
screen is not visible, sir.
black screen,
Yes, black
complete
screen.
black screen. Okay, okay.
Perfect.
uh, so I will again start here. Okay, so initially we start with a mechanical system. This is my mechanical system, just we have discussed, we have a mechanical signal. Okay, this signal is converted into electrical signal by sensor. Okay, this we learned it, this is electrical signal. This electrical signal may be in a voltage, maybe a current, maybe a capacitance, or maybe resistance, so many other parameters, but these are the electrical parameters. These signals may be in the range of 0 to 50 millivolt, or maybe less than that, maybe 0 to 100 millivolt or something. Okay, so these to be amplified, which is needed for microcontroller. So that is what we need an amplifier here. Okay, and what that amplifier does, it will take in a power from power supply. Okay, this power supply may be in a DC power supply or AC power supply, depends on what kind of an amplification you want to do it. So that is what an amplification, and this amplifier will now map this, what are the range of the output of the sensor, and 0 to 5 volt or 0 to 10 volt, or sometimes minus 5 to plus 5 volt or something. So there will be a different versions of it. What is that is what a requirement of it. So after this signal is typically analog type signal. Means I can vary this analog signal. Analog signal is typically a decimal numbers. Keep in mind these are decimal numbers. Okay, and decimal number means for a single bit of information. If I say any number, maybe 239 or something. So this particular bit has 10 divisions, because I can represent that from 0, 1, 2 up to 9. So that is, it has a total 10 divisions. That's what it is called as a decimal number, because it uses 10th as a base, and that's the reason it is a decimal numbering system. And this analog system follows this decimal numbering system because it was in a long back story, because we all entire world has accepted this decimal numbering system. And next, what it happens, but your microcontroller, here it is microcontroller, this microcontroller understands binary language. Binary language means what it happens, it understands either 0 or 1, means it has a base 2 system. And that's the reason this binary numbering, this is to be converted now. Here it is in a decimal numbers, this is a analog signals, and this is a digital signal. It is to be converted, means obviously this analog signal is to be converted into a digital signal. Obviously I will put up one block here which will convert analog to digital, and this typically called as a data acquisition system, that is DAQ or something. Okay, once we got this information onto the microcontroller will have its own memory, then input output processor, input output of this entire stuff, and it has its own processor. What it does, it will collect that information like our brain. If I look at anything, okay, so that my eyes are going to sense it, and that signal is given to my brain through my nervous system, and that brain is now taking a decision. My nervous system or my eyes are not taking any decisions. Decision will be taken by brain, and that brain is now again generating some signal, and that signal is nothing but my output signal. This is my input signal, this is my output signal, and this signal is again in binary form because it understands only binary language. It doesn't understand any decimal numbering or something. So then this binary signal is to be again converted into analog, because your actuator understand this analog, because your actuator is designed such a way that it is going to vary the voltage or something, but it is not in step sort of format. And that's what here it is in a decimal number, here it is in an analog number. That's what I will have in a DACs. There is another way the people does it, that is a PWM signal also, okay, which is called as a pulse width modulation. In that case you don't need these DACs. Okay, that also one of the part where you can think of it. And what are this DAC gives an output, again it is in the form of 0 to 5 volt, maybe minus 5 to 5 volt, or minus 10 to plus 10 volt or something like this. So this voltage has a current capacity in approximately 50 milliamperes, because everything what are this DAC, ADC and then microcontroller works in the range of 0 to 12 volt. It doesn't work in more than that volt, and that's the reason it doesn't supply more current. If it is going to draw more current, obviously this is going to harm it. That's what they put up in some kind of a restriction on it, so it should not draw more the current, and that is what a problem. And total power, if I say it is in a 50 millivolt with a 10 volt signal, means altogether power comes up in 100 milliwatt, which is not sufficient for me to drive any actuator, because 100 milliwatt is a very small power. So again I need in a one block, which is typically called as an amplifier, which converts, either it amplifies the voltage, either it amplifies the current. So that's what these are called as an amplifier. Some of the amplifiers are called as a frequency amplifiers. That is not a part of discussion here. This amplifier will now give an output, okay? It may be in a 0 to 20 volt, maybe minus 24 to plus 24, because this is a typical range for motors to drive. Sometimes you need to convert into AC signal 0 to 230 volt, 0 to 440 volt, depends on my requirement, okay, requirement of actuator. Then I will have an actuator here. Actuator may be anything, like my actuator may be a pump, maybe motor, maybe heater, or anything. Means that all comes under the actuator. And then actuator will take up this electrical signal and it will convert into mechanical signal or any other biomedical or any kind of an application you can look at it. And that is what it conversion it does. And that, in terms of mechanical, what is the conversion it does? It may convert that electrical signal into power. Power contains two things. One is maybe a torque and another is a speed. Combination of both that will be changed, and that is what typically called as a mechanical signal. T is nothing but torque, omega is my speed, and like this. And then mechanical system will now take up a next action plan or something. This is what an entire step it works. Okay, so this is what it works in continuous type of a controller. Controller is here, this microcontroller. Microcontroller means you're going to write some program onto this, and that program is going to take a decision. Now take a simple example of heater. You have a heater here, and you want to restrict that my temperature should not more than 90 degree, but up to 90 degree it should maintain it. That is what you are thinking. So then this 90 degree will be sensed by sensor. Sensor will take care that it will convert into voltage. Voltage will again convert into amplifier and it will give it to the ADC. Most of the time this amplifier doesn't needs it, or this amplifier and sensor will be combinedly called as a signal conditioning unit, which is another part of discussion. We are not going to discuss more detail into this. And then this signal is given to the ADC, then microcontroller. So this is what here you will get the information that mechanical system, what are the system or what are the water has a temperature of 90 degree, or maybe just imagine you have a 45 degrees temperature. So obviously this microcontroller will come to know it is in a 45 degree temperature, and this 45 degree temperature, and you have written a subprogram, and that program says if my temperature is less than 90 degree, start the heater. That kind of a decision will be taken by this microcontroller, and output signal is generated according to how much difference is there. Okay, and then it is given to the DAC or PWM, depends on what kind of an actuator you are going to do it. Then it goes to the amplifier, then actuator, and then it will start heating it. Then sequentially, then temperature goes to the 48, 55, 60, 90 degree, and maybe a 92 degree something. Once it's reached to the 90 degree, because each and every time it is going to complete this loop is continuously working. It's not in a step-by-step operation or something. So once it reach more than this 90 degree, you put up some logic here, which says if my temperature is 90 degree, stop the heater. Means it is stop this signal output, and it will make this program, this voltage output 0. So obviously this loop will get disconnected. So that is what the way this entire control system or mechatronic system works. So there are two types of controllers into this. One is continuous type of controller, so which we discuss is now, because each and every movement it is going to control it. Another one is a discrete type of controller. Okay, discrete means it will work either on or off, that kind of work, like just now I told. So if it reaches 90 degree or more, it will switch off. So this type of controller is called as a discrete type controller, and this discrete type controllers are called as are they developed specifically for industrial application, because most of the time what is to be done, you have to take a decision, either that process is to be started or stopped. So only two decisions we need to take, either my decision is 0 or 1. In that case I can say So that is the way you can say it is a discrete type of a controller, and that discrete controllers are called as a programming logic controller. And these are continuous controller which can be further developed as a PID controller, computed torque controller, maybe so many other type of controller. That is not an issue for it. Okay, we'll now discuss only this part of it and how it is connected to rest of the things in detail for it. Okay, so we'll discuss about what does that PLC means. You know now where my that particular PLC sits at, okay, and that PLC we are what that PLC structure is there, what the way it is power supply, what that processor works, what is the way I can teach that PLC. That is the programming is called as a ladder logic program. And in that ladder logic programming, there may be different aspects. I may have a timer, I may have a counter, so many things I need it. Internal relays, registers, so many things are there. We will discuss one by one so that you will get into more detail about it. So basically, PLC is nothing but a short form of programming logic control, and it is especially designed for industrial application. It is not a plug and play type of devices. Okay, and this is a typically kind of an interface. Interface means it will take up some input and take we can put a process and take a decision on it. So that is what these are designed within a small instruction set. Means I can means I want to have some people to be working into my hostel. How can I do it? I will now assign some sweeper, maybe a plumber, maybe a carpenter. So these are nothing but instructions. Yes, I have some carpentry work, I will call carpenter person. So these are nothing but a small instruction set, I can say. Means if typical task is to be performed, so I will now define that task within a certain set of these words, and these words are further converted into signal, and those signals are those kind of words are called as a small instruction set. So that is what the thing. Okay, and these instruction sets are further can be combined, and we can work out on a bigger kind of work. That is the bigger kind of a program you can do it. PLCs are more flexible and very easy to program because it is based on I can say it is in a block type of a programming. Like you might have gone through one type of program developed by Google and MIT combinedly. That is a scratch type of program. In that you can just bring all the blocks, if else or this all blocks, and just put up your conditions into this. And that the programming, and that's the reason it is more flexible, easy to program, and it is robust because it has less external interferences allowed into this. Okay. So we'll now look at what does that PLC means, how it works. Okay, so this is the motor. Okay, this is the lamp. Okay, and then these are the inputs I'm going to give it. This is inputs means I have switches like on, off, and test. Okay, test means what it happens when I'm putting the test button, my light should on. Otherwise, whether if my motor is running, then it should on. Like this kind of a condition I'm going to put it. And what are the conditions based on these inputs will be programmed through the PC, and then programming wire will come maybe in a USB or something. It is connected to your processor, and this is a typically PLC based processor. And this processor, once it is programmed, you can disconnect this. Okay, now you are now independent. You don't need any kind of a PC or something. Okay, then when you are going to operate it, what it happens if I say on button I put it, then it has some logic. If the press this on button is pressed, then it has to start the motor. If on off button is pressed, motor is to be stopped. If test button is pressed, it will check out whether motor is running, then it will on, otherwise it will not on. Like this kind of an operation, that is a repetitive kind of an operation, that is can be done by PLC. That is what a programming logic control. So just look at this process, how that logical sequence it happens. So this is a typical stamping operation. And this is a repeating operation, because this type of stamping you may be doing 1,000 or more in a day. So obviously, if the human is going to do it, obviously he will make some kind of a mistake, or he will get irritated, because humans are not for a repetitive kind of a work, and that's the reason these are to be done by machines. And repeat. This is our not mindset. Humans' mindset is not to do perfect work in repetitive kind of an activity. Sometimes they do it, but it cannot be kept for a longer time. That will create a stress and so many things. That's the reason there are certain machines we can do this work more accurately than human, and that's the reason these machines, that is PLC, will be used. So this is a typically a stamping operation. Means you can just look at how this operation done. First of all, you are going to put the component here. Okay. So once I kept this component, it is detected by some sensor. Once it is detected, then this actuator will get initiated, and then it will go to the lower side. If it is lower side, then it is seen that this stamping is done. Once stamping is done, then this actuator, ejector, will start working. Ejector will remove it, and then it will, this operation will be continuously operated. And this type of operations are called as a continuous operation, and these are nothing but, these operations are not during this each and every step you can observe. These processes are only on and off type of processes. They are not continuous type of process, like in a heating of the water heater or something. Okay, continuous. It's not in a continuous. It's a smooth. It's a step by step or on off type operations. In this case, this PLC is the one of the best solution where we can work at. Another one, if you look into any big industry like in a coal mines or something, just look at this coal mine. So here, truck comes and put up a raw coal here. It is to be processed, because it has to be cleaned, it has to be separated within a different CV values or something. Okay. So once it is put it here, this is nothing but a conveyors, which will take into the hammer mill, which powder, means it will convert into smaller pieces, or it will convert into powders. Okay. And this powders, okay, it will, first of all, it will go into the multiple divert distributors and so many places, storage bins you can put it. So likewise, it involves so many processes, but these processes are repeating over the entire day, and you can continuously monitor how much the size of the bin and everything, and that becomes a too much complicated kind of program. And one more thing I would like to tell you, you might have gone through a lifts, that is already there in our college in ENTC department. Lift is also uses this PLC programming. It's in a simple ladder logic program. They use it, they do the programming for it. Whenever you are pressing any button, it will either come here, or that is what an operation you can do it. So another one, so some more advanced kind of a programming. So this can be done within a smaller PLCs. This can be done within a multiple PLCs. I can have a multiple PLCs connected. Maybe PLC processor 5, 3, 2, 1. So many PLCs are brought into a single one, and there is one single supervisory system. And also it is called as a SCADA type of system. Supervisory control kind of a system, and that's what this kind of a systems are most used in most of the industries. If you go into any cement factory or any medical, like pharmacy factory, you will find this type of operations are continuously happening. Okay. So here it is a raw material, then this is the process, I want to mix it appropriately, and then combining these two will come, and I need to fill into the bottle is to be filled, it is to be sealed, so many things, and it is to be put into the boxes. These boxes also to be packed and taken to some other other place, and this process continuously repeats it, and that's what PLCs are best here to use, and that's the reason these PLCs have developed to have an industrial applications. So we'll now take in a simple example how that repetitive process works. This is what on a simple example I can just show you. So this is a bottle filling process. Okay. In bottle filling process, what it happens, I will take up on a bottle and bottle will be sensed by this object sensor, and this signal is given to the PLC. This is nothing but my input signal I write it. Once it receives the signal, then it will generate a signal to valve. Valve will on and it will start filling the bottle. Once it is reaches to the particular weight, maybe on a 150 kg or something weight of this bottle, it will again generate another signal here, and that will generate a signal to stop this valve. This will get off, and that is what it is done. And this is to be repeated for multiple bottles, maybe 1,000 bottles or maybe 500 bottles a day. And this is nothing but a typical logic is to be applied it. So you can just look at once again here, this is bottle kept, then bottle present, then open the valve, it will go to the valve, it will start the filling, continuously measure the weight. Once it reaches to the full bottle, then again it will generate the signal for valve and it will off it. So that is what typically works as a bottle filling machine. So we'll now look at how this PLC looks like. This is nothing but a small device, and typically inputs are from upper side and outputs from bottom side. Most of the time may be reverse. That depends on what type of construction of the PLC. It depends on different companies and they take a decision on it. Inputs means it is typically a sensing. So sensing may be a push button. It is done. Sensors are connected to the inputs. Outputs are typically actuators. Actuator may be a heater, maybe a something or something. That is what you are going to connect this input and output through this. And these are the push buttons, photo sensors, pressure sensors. These are the inputs. The motor is my output. Okay. So this is what typically it looks, and how it works. It works on loop fashion. It doesn't means it will first of all check out whether my inputs are there or not. If inputs is not there, your program will not start. And so that's what there are inputs. This input will now check out your memory, which is written within some kind of a program here, and then it will depends on what type of button or what type of sensor it is going to give me a signal. It will take up this processor will now process and it will generate an output for this. If I press the button to on the light, okay, if I press the button to on the light, what it happens, it only generates a signal to the output to on the light only. That is what it does. If I said motor, it should be on in the another type of inputs, then now only motor will on. So this is, it happens in a typical looped fashion. It will take an input and then it is continuously looping in this fashion. And these are the devices, these are the components of the PLCs. It has a programming device. Typically it is a PC is one of the way you can do the programming. There will be touch pads by which we can do it program, and that is what a touchpad type of program. Maybe a kind of screens through which you can do it. You can also have direct memory devices put onto the programming. You can upload it. That is what memory also. Maybe a pen drive or something you can directly connect. This comes under the programming device. Once the programming is done, then that entire program is written onto the memory. And whatever the program you are writing, you can remove it, and you can go do this in multiple ways. It's not in a single time programming or something. You can do it multiply. You can remove that previous program, put another program, then again remove this, put another one, like that you can do it. It has maybe it doesn't creates any kind of a problem for this. Okay, having a number of programs or programming if you're going to repeat it. So then this memory will check out these input interface. These are here the sensors are connected. Okay, so it will check out, and then processor will take decision based on that, and it will generate an output. And these are the motors, or I can say it is an actuators. Okay, and then to operate these you need in a power supply, and that's what there is in a power supply for this. This is what in a typical construction you need only this much amount of information as in a for a programming. You don't need more information. What are the registers are there, what kind of logical gates are used, don't worry about it, because that is already comes with an entire programming. Okay, if you look at what is the way you can do in a program, programming means it has a typical block type of program. Okay, this programming is typically called as a ladder logic. This left side is called as a rails. These are the rails, I can say. This is a rail, left rail and right rail. This is the rail, right side, and this is the left side. Left side is typically inputs for this. These are the inputs for inputs, that is input instructions are given under left side, and your signal start from this. Okay, and reach to end of this. It will not go and check out this also and do all this time. It will work in sequential fashion. It doesn't interfere into anybody's runs, or this one only one single line says as in a run. It starts with left hand, reach to the right hand, then instruction go to the second run, then it will take up an input, check out whichever it is to be decide decision or output action is to be taken, it is taken, and then again it will continuously works in this fashion. Means you are sequencing execution of the program will be from left to right, like in our writing, how we write this. We are not in a we Urdu language, you can see it right to left is there. Only one language in the entire world which written in right to left manner. 99% languages are from left to right. Okay, so that is the only sequence it happens. This is left power rail and this is the right power rail. Once again I will tell these are the rungs, and each rung will follow the sequence of instructions from left to right. Okay, and this is what the way it works. It will check out the inputs, execute the program, update the output status, and then again check out the input. This happens in sequential fashion. It is continuously checking the inputs, and based on that it is generating the output. That is what it happens. So whenever you are going to do a ladder logic program, it needs only these four symbols. You don't need anything more than that. And these are the first symbol is the power rails. These are left power rail and right power rail. Okay, right power rail. Okay, these are the rails. Then next symbol is a normally closed type of contact. What that normally closed type of contact means, I am going to put up on some signal here. If I am going to put up on some input here, this will get disconnected. These are the wires are connected initially. When I put up an input, it will get disconnected. What does that means? If I am going to supply a power here, okay, just look at here. If I am not having this input is my 0, I am not going to provide any input. Your signal will now move it in this fashion. Means output will be there. Output is on condition. If my input is 0 under this condition. Okay, if input becomes 1, or this sensor gives in a signal, okay, my temperature has reached, water heater temperature is reached, and this then it will generate this will give a 1 as an input, and this will get disconnected. Your power will come and struck it here, it will not move here, it will stop here, and your output is off condition. So this happens, and that is what in a way this PLC works. Okay, and then some that is normally closed contact works. If you look into the reverse manner, okay, normally open type of contact. This is my power here, input is here my 0. Okay, then this is not connected at all. So what it happens? Obviously power will stuck here, will not jump it here, because this is nothing but that's the reason it has put this type of symbol. And my output here is 0. Okay, and when I'm going to connect it, I'm going to put up an input is my 1, then it will get connected like this, and output becomes 1. So that is what it is called as a normally open type of contact. Means normally it is disconnected. Here it is normally connected, I can say. So that's what normally closed type contact and normally open type of contact. And this is typically output device or coil, I can say. This is typically coil, which is output device. It is symbol is used. You can just look at this is power flows when the input is on. Okay, then power flows when input is off. That is what a normally open type contact and closed type contact. So these are the ladder logics. This is the way you can convert that AND circuit. You want to construct it using the ladder logic. You have only 4 symbols. What are those symbols? One is power rail. Okay, this is my power rail. Then normally open type contact, normally closed type contact, and then output device. Okay. So I want to construct an AND circuit using this ladder logic, and then typically AND circuit means I have 2 inputs here now. One is A input and another is a B input. If both are connected, then this particular loop will get connected. Okay. So what I can do it, I can have both are 0, output will be 0. Any one of the 0 means A is connected, B is not connected. In that case, or B is connected, A is not connected. These are the 2 conditions. Okay. In that case, my output also should 0. If both are connected, both switches are connected, then and then it will have a 1, this is 1, and output will come to the 1. So this is a typically a truth table for AND circuit. So this type of circuit we have seen it. Now we want to use that for our ladder logic. How can I do it? I can put whenever there is an AND circuits are there. This is X400 is nothing but a number. Don't worry about these numbers. Sometimes we may get more confused with these numbers because these many number of inputs will be there into a single PLC. I am going to provide X as an input. 400 is the number of the pin in which I am going to put that as an input. 401 means another pin, and Y430 means output. Y represents output. 430 means I can have a 430 somewhere that pin has given number, that is 430. I am going to get the output. So here, whenever you are constructing any AND kind of a circuit, you need to put this normally open type. This is an open type of contact into the series and get it. Now look at how it works. If power starts here, it comes to here. If this 400 is pressed, then power will flow to this side. Otherwise, power will not flow from this point to this point. In that case, what it happens? It will get stuck up here. If 400 is nothing but 1, then this will get connected. Okay. Then it will come and it will check out here. Okay. This is another signal. If this is the 1, okay, then again it will get connected, and then power will be given to this coil and power. Then output will come out. So that is the way this, whenever you are going to use an AND type of a circuit, you need to put this normally closed type of contact, okay, into the series. Now just look at what is that NAND type of circuit. In NAND type of circuit, okay, what it happens, I need to put this reverse of it. In NAND type of circuit, A and B, I can say it is here, it is a NAND output. I want to check it out. Here both are 0, I will get 0. Any one of this is 1. This, any one of this, I will get 1. If both are done, I will get 1, like this. So in that case, I need to connect this within a closed type of contact. If I connect this within a closed type of contact, any one of this or both are 0, then it will give you 1 as an output, or like this it works. Okay. So if I am going to use an OR type of circuit, in OR type of circuit, here AND is series, In OR means I have to use kind of a series to parallel type of inputs. This is nothing but a parallel senses. I am going to put up either signal will come from this end to this power up, or either of this, both of this. Means any one should on, that is not a problem. In that case, if 400 is connected, then power will jump out and start this motor. If 401 is connected, then power will flow from this side. And this, if it is not connected, that doesn't affect much. Okay. So means because this is nothing but an either or. This is an OR type of circuit. This is and an OR type of circuit. Where it is used, we'll just discuss in typical practical example. This is NAND type of circuit. In NOT type of circuit, that is NOT means if I am going to provide input to my circuit, output should be 1, or 1 if I am going to provide input to my 1 as an input, and output should be 0. So in that case, I can use a normally closed type of contact. This is a normally closed type. And if I am going to press the button, this will get disconnected. Output will be 0. So that is what the way it works. Just now I told that NAND circuit. NAND circuit means reverse of AND. It works on reverse of AND. So any of this 0 0, then output will be 1, and then 0 1, it output will be 1. Like this it is going to work at. Okay. So then NOR truth. Okay. So welcome back. So here we are going to discuss about latching circuit. Latching means it is a typical latch you might have seen in most of the houses. How that latch works? If I just if I not took any key and go out of the house and door got closed, it will never open it. Means it will keep that input as in a memory, and it will continuously work on that. This type of circuit is mostly used in all pumping stations, pumping units, and maybe a water supply unit or maybe agricultural pumping unit. So you might be knowing that agricultural pump will have two buttons. One is on button and other is off button. When you press the on button, what it happens, that will get that relay will get activated, and then power will start operating, but your push button is kept here, and that button will come back because of the spring action. But power is there, power is continuously working. That again pressing the button or anything you are going to do as a push button to the input button or on button will not affect your output, and that kind of an operation is called as a latching circuit. So there are situations where it is necessary to hold an output as an energize. Means this kind of a memory, it is to be there into your circuit, and that kind of a circuit is called as a latching circuit. And when input get disconnected, even though input is getting disconnected, that should be maintained, that output, that side of operation you want to do it. A simple example of such situation is motor, which is started by pressing a push button switch. Though the switch contacts do not remain closed, motor is required to continuously running until we are going to press the stop button, and that is what a circuit is called as a latching circuit. Now, how I can put that into a condition, and that is what most important kind of logic it is called as used in the PLC programming. Here now look at it. Here this is the power rail. Power is now coming here. I press this one button as a 1, then power is get connected. Then this is on button. Okay, this is my off button. Okay, then it is already closed type of contact. Power will now flow in this fashion. Output will be 1. Okay, once it is output is 1, then this will be seized by your ladder logic. Okay, motor is on, power is continuously running, and that is what it is kept it here. Okay, what it happens, one is this logic that output is on, this on logic is kept into this, because initially this 430 is now off, so obviously this is not anything. So then power will now start moving from this point. As it is 1, it is connected, and power will now flow from this end to this end. Okay, means I can just put up two different color lines. Okay, I will just put up on two different color lines so that you can understand. Okay, initially I will put it red color, which is showing me this is what a signal in initial pressing the button. This will help me to the press button. Okay, then once that press is over, then it is going to use another path. This is now 1. Okay, it will take up another this point, and then it will power supply will be maintained into this, and that is what it is called as a latching circuit. You are going to create another path into your circuit, Hello, can you hear me? Oh, and Mangalore. Can you hear me? हॅलो
हॅलो. हां येस सर.
हां, आता ऐकू येतं? आमच्या इथली लाईट गेली रे.
हां येस सर, ॲक्च्युली लाईट गेली होती. हां, माझी पण गेली.
ओके, ठीक आहे ना, काय अडचण नाही. आपण आता कंटिन्यू करू. माझ्या लॅपटॉपवर आहे चार्जिंग. अजून एक
हां ओके सर.
साधारण अर्धा तास चालेल असं दिसतं. 44% आहे. आली तर चांगलीच गोष्ट आहे, आणि मंगळवार आहे त्याच्यामुळे प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
हां तोच डाऊट आहे जरा.
म्हणून सकाळी चार्ज करून ठेवलं होतं लॅपटॉप मी. ओके,
मी
एनिवे,
आज प्रॉब्लेम होतो जर मंगळवारी.
so this is what the way you can get. I think you can see my screen now. Okay, screen दिसते?
सर दिसते स्क्रीन.
Okay, ठीक.
दिसते स्क्रीन सर.
Okay, this is what in a latching circuit. It is mostly used in most of the operations. That's what I put this latching circuit. This is a typical application for it. Okay, so what is the basically requirement? Consider on a motor controlled by stop and start button, okay, switches, for which one signal light must be illuminated when power is applied. Just look at it. What is the condition? It is illuminated. That light must be illuminated under what condition? Power is applied to the motor, and if it is not, then another light is to be on. Means I will have 3 in output. Okay, how many in output? One is motor output, one thing. Then lamp, which indicates motor is on. Okay, then another lamp which indicates motor is off. If that particular lamp is on, then I can say it is in a off. I can say it is in a red, and this is green lamp. Green lamp indicates my motor is on. So this is what then basically a logic you want to put it. So obviously there will be no inputs. There will be only 2 inputs. Inputs are on button and off button. Okay, these are the 2 inputs. Based on that, you have to operate these 3 outputs. You need to connect this input and output through an ladder logic. So I can put here latching circuit. Okay, so 400, and this is my on button, I can say, and this is my off button. Okay, so I can press this is to be close contact. Okay, this is to be close contact. Okay, then power, when I press the on button, what it happens, it will connect, then power will come here, then it will come to this 40, again it is close contact, then it will come to this, motor will start rotating. Once the motor is started rotating, logic here becomes on a 1, and this now, as you are going to release this, means this button will become off in once you release that particular push button, and power will now start moving from this end, because this is now get connected, because here the logic that motor is on, that logic is already 1, so that's what power will now starts moving to this end. Then motor got started. If I put the off button, this will get disconnected, and everything get disconnected, motor becomes off. Okay, this is one. Another one, I want to use whether this motor is on or on or off. This kind of an operation I want to use it to switch the lights on these two lamps. Depends on, if it is on, this green lamp will on. If it is off, this will red light will on. So if motor is on, okay, then what it happens, if it is on means I have no one logic, means I am going to put a one logic here, and then this will get disconnected because it is normally closed type of contact, and power will not flow, and this lamp will not get on. But as motor is on, means here it is an on as an logic or one as an logic, this will get connected, okay, and then this lamp will become on. If motor is off, obviously continuously this is going to show, this is my red light and this is my green light, like this. So this is what the way you can develop your logic and you can put up into the practical applications. Okay, so हॅलो, नाही रे अजून चालू आहे का रे? नाही नाही, मला एक 10 मिनिट आहे, 10-15 मिनिट, 10-15 मिनिट. So another logic into this is a timers. Most of the operations are to be done for a certain particular time period, maybe at 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Like take an example of washing machine. You want to run that washing machine for next 45 minutes or 30 minutes or something. Means till the time it is continuously maintaining the output. So this kind of a time operation is called as a timer operation. In this timer operations, what it happens, you need to initiate this timer. Timer is nothing but one of the output from my system now. So I am going to put up on a press the button, means it is going to connect this, and timer will start. And this timer, I need to set it for a certain period of time. And then once it is 1, and this has an 1 as an logic or on as an logic, what it happens, it will come, this will get connected, and then timer will start rotating. Once start operating, and then once the whatever the timing set, maybe in 10 minutes or something, and then after that it will get disconnect, and this will wait for next input from this. So this is nothing but a typical operation. When I press the button input, okay, then it will wait till that particular time, and then output will generate, and that is what it is typically a motor sequencing, you can use it. So this is what typically a motor sequencing operation. This is a start button, this is stop button, this is my timer, or not, it is one output. Okay, and then this is a latching circuit. This is typically whenever you see such type of circuit is called as a latching circuit. Then depend on status of IR1, I want to operate different timers. I can have an IR1 maybe it will operate for 5-10 minutes. This is for 5 minutes. Okay, so then it will, this timer will on. When this timer was on, this T1 will get executed. Okay, and it operates after the 10 minutes. After 10 minutes it will start this motor number 2. After 5 minutes this motor number 3 will start. After 5, that is what the way it works on. Timer will be used in most of the operations. Okay, similarly you can have a counters. Timers will count the time. Okay, it will, but counters will count the number of pulses. Means I want to just check out if that 10 number of bottles are over, filling of the 10 bottles are over, then I want to stop the operations, or I want to continue the next operation, or I want to switch out to then another operation. So that kind of an operations, whenever you are going to do it, so that places this counters are used. Counters means I need to reset this counter. Once I reset this counter, counter will start. Maybe I will put up 10 as a counter state. Okay, then it will, input will take, counter will start, it will go on counting, and that may, this counting may be within 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes or anything. That is not in a time, it is not restricted based on the timers timing, but time period, but it is restricted on number of counts. So you can just look at just input, you got it, then it will go on counting 1 2, maybe some more time it has taken, 3 4, again 5 6 7 8 9 10 number. Once it is 10 is over, then output will start, and this output will initiate this. That is what the way counters are used. Okay, this is what in a typical logic. Will not discuss this one in okay, I'll take up one simple example so that we can start doing in a programming. This is a typically industrial mixer. You need to operate this industrial mixer into 3 steps. One is, it is to be filled with a liquid, it is to be heated, and mixer is to be started for 10 minutes. That is what typically needed for it. Okay, so filled with liquid means I need one sensor. What that sensor does, sensor will have level sensor, which will ensure whether that tank is completely filled or not. If that level sensor says tank is not completely filled, then I need to generate a signal for an actuator, that I can say it as a pump as an actuator, and it will start filling it. Once that particular level is on, once that particular level is reached, that pump is to be automatically switched off. So that is what the way sequence. This is nothing but it needs it will take this as an input, this as an output, and based on that you are going to connect this. Okay, in sensor and pump, you are going to connect it. Once it is filled, this is one operation, you have finished it. Then what is the next operation? You want to heat it. Once it is level, then tank is completely filled, then I need to start the heater. But how much I need to heat it? I will have how much it is heated, it is sensed by a thermocouple. Okay, this is nothing but I can have input for it. Okay, sensor. Then what is the output? Output is my heater. I need to connect the logic between input and output. So that is what the way. If I set the temperature here, maybe 400 degree or something, that liquid is to be, once it is reached to the 400 degree, that I am going to switch off the heater. If it is less than 400 degree, it will continuously maintain the output to the heater. That kind of an operation. Once that 400 is reached, okay, then again I need to start the operation. Means here what kind of an operation? I need to start the mixing of it. Mixing may need some kind of a mixer or maybe a stirrer. It will start operating. Here input is what? Input is my thermocouple, which will ensure it has reached to a certain degree of temperature. Once it is reached to this, then output I can say it is in a stirrer, and this stirrer will start rotating. And for how much time? It will rotate up to 10 minutes. That I need to put it for timer here. So these are the things we need to include. You may see there are so many inputs, outputs, only 3 operations. You need to do lot many things, but it is not required much of the logic. Okay, so we'll now just look at how many states of my system. One is liquid filling state, another is heating state, third is my rotation stage. So first state, fill the liquid. Second state, heat the liquid. Third state, rotate the liquid. Who is going to decide? That is decided by a level switch. Filling the liquid is decided by level switch. Heating is decided by temperature switch. And once the temperature is that, then rotation, how much time it is to be rotated, that is decided by timer switch. So that is what it is in particular sequential chart or sequential function chart, I can say it. So in this case, this is what record as typically a relay logic. It is a relay logic type of circuit, but will not be asked in most of the time in the exam. But it is it is maybe useful. You can just look at here how it is to be connected and kind of things. But here this ladder logic is most important. So obviously I will now have a start button, then level full. Okay, so here so power is here, it is starting here. Once I connect it, push the button, power will get connected here, and then power will now start flowing here. So level, if the level is 1, level is completely filled or it is on, I will say signal, this will get disconnected, PEP will not be operated. Okay, keep in mind. If it is on, this will get disconnected. If it is not on, then my signal will start and reach to the pump, and then pump will start motion. And this pump will have a logic of on. On means it is now continuously running, and that logic is represented 1. And then once I release this button, or not necessary, then power will now start flowing from this end to this end. This is what it is, a latching circuit. Okay, this is a latching circuit. Then now this first operation of maintaining level of water is done, okay, into the tank. That is one operation completed. So now we'll look at second operation, how we can do it. Once the level is full, means my logic is here 1, this is 1, or I can say it is on, means this floater will now starts, and this is on, means obviously this will get connected because it is normally open type of contact. Will now allow, means it will create 1. Whenever the logic here becomes 1, it will get connected. But here when logic is 1, this will get disconnected. So that is what it operates. Okay, then 1, then it will come to here. Then temperature it will ensure. Temperature sensor, you might have put the temperature sensor as 400 degrees Celsius as a limiting temperature. If it is 400 degree, means it will represent on as a logic or 1 as a logic. If it is less than that, it will represent off as a logic. If it is already you filled the temperature liquid within 400 degrees Celsius, so this will get disconnected and heater will not start. If it is less than 400 degrees Celsius, then this will get connected and heater will start. So then heater will start and heater will now start heating, and it has an on as an logic. So this is what the way that second operation of heating is completed. Now look at the third operation, how that third operation does. Once it is reached to the 400 degrees Celsius, means it has a logic of on, or I can say it is 1. I'll now put this into this signal. Now next operation, it will come, it is 1, obviously will get connected, then it will start the timer for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, then this once this 10-minute timer is started, it has no logic on, or I can say it is no 1 as in a logic, then timer will now start, will get disconnected here like this, and mixing motor will start. And this is what the way it does the operation. So this is nothing but a way you can represent your ladder logic, or you can program a ladder logic for it. How many symbols we have used? Only 4 symbols. One is rail symbol, another is normally open type of contact, normally closed type of contact, okay, and then output. Only 4 symbol you need it. 90% cases, 99% I can say. You need not worry about any other symbols, and you need not to buy ahead anything. So this way you can just look at third operation, that is mixing is over into this. This is what the way you can define your ladder logic, and you can do it. So whenever you are putting any ladder logic, you need to think what kind of input I needed, what kind of output I am going to put, I want it, and how it is connected. So if I am going to press the button, whether the pump is to be on or off, or kind of things, lamp is to be on or off, heater is to be on and off, like this. So this kind of a logical sequence you need to prepare, and that sequential logic is to be established. Okay. So we'll now take another example. Okay. Just take a simple example. In a certain bank, okay, each of 3 bank officers, maybe a bank officer manager is there, then assistant manager is there, and your customer is there. These 3 operations, and it has, each and everyone have its own key. Okay, everyone is having its own key, and these keys, it's to be put into the wallet, and then you can on your wallet, or you can say it is in a locker or some kind of things. Okay, the bank rule says that 2 out of 3 officers, I can have 2 officers will go to the wallet and they will open it. Either that operation may be an AB, BC, or AC. 3 operations I can do it. So that is what I need to develop in a ladder logic for this. And once that any of the 2 keys are there, and then later that whatever the door of the wallet will open up, and then light into that particular wallet should on. That is what the way that sequence is to be there. Means, what are the inputs here? Inputs are my keys. How many keys are there? 3 keys. Output is what? Output is my what are the unlatch the door, or I can say it is an actuator, and another output is my lamp. These are my output. So I need to connect these 2 things, input and output. Okay, and what is the combination? I can have 3 combinations of to on the actuator and lamp. So one combination is AB, means both the keys should be on. Maybe another combination BC, and third combination AC. So I can now read it in this fashion. So A and B keys are there, then on the actuator and lamp. Or B and C are there, then on the actuator or lamp. Or A and C are there, then on the actuator and lamp. Means A and B, I can write it in this fashion, A and B, or B and C, or A and C, and this will lead to on, actuator and lamp. That is what you want to do the operation. So these are the conditions under which this actuator is going to on and the lamp. You know that AND operation will be done with series combination. This is what it should be. A and B to be kept into the series. B and C is also to be kept into the series. This also to be kept into the series. Whenever there is an OR operation, I need to put this into the parallel. This or this I will put into the parallel. This or this I will put into the parallel. Okay, so that is what the way you can put up in a ladder logic. Means I can have a simple operation like I have A here, then B here, and maybe B here, then C here. Okay, and then A here and C here, which is going to actuate my output. Okay, this is what actuator. If both are on, then and then signal will come. That signal flow will be like this. If B and C is there, then signal flow will be like this. A and C is there, then signal flow will be like this. So that is what it is to be there. If any one of this is missing their keys, it will not. That is. And once this is on, I can now put up one another logic, which is this condition, whether it is this actuator is on or not. That condition I will put it, and then my lamp will on. This is my lamp operation. You can just look at the ladder logic for this. That's a simple ladder logic. Thus, switch A, switch B, switch A, switch C, switch B, switch C. So these are the way you can just, these are nothing but an open type of contact. This is an open type of contact. They are not closed type of contact. So it is represented different type of contacts, or different symbols are used in different books. That's what you can just look at this. Okay, so don't worry about the symbols. Keep only into the mind. You have to use only 4 symbols, and that's it. Okay. So this is what the way it will start the operation.